is hit, you should be always moving forward on the ball.
Oh, great grab by Santo.
His passion was his driving force. It's what got him over every hurdle in his life.
Never stay back on the ball and let the ball play you.
Staying back on the ball, getting on your heels isn't the way. I mean, that wasn't him. He was never on his heels.
A home run for Santo, the 300th of his career.
If he did stay back on his heels, he wouldn't have accomplished what he accomplished.
You play the ball.
My brother and I, we were big fans, and we tried to sneak into every clubhouse at Candlestick Park, but we always got turned away. One day, we decided we would sneak in behind the big ball players and follow them into the clubhouse. It worked. We got into the Cubs clubhouse. I saw Ron Santo across the room. It would be a great story now to say that we met each other at that point. We did not. He looked big. He looked kind of intimidating. He wore his uniform real tight, and he was kind of scowling, so I did not approach him. But I remember watching Ron, how big he was. He had power.
Fly ball very deep. It's curving. It is. Hey! A home run for Santo.
He was a great third baseman.
There's a liner. Hey, what a catch by Santo. Man alive, did Ronnie come up with one there.
And he just had a certain charisma about him. You could tell he was always fired up.
When you put it all together, you might call my dear friend Ron Santo the Cubs' beating heart. At the plate, he was one of the most productive third basemen of the 60s and early 70s.
Fly ball, deep to left. Hey, attaboy, Ronnie.
Over his 15-year career, he led all players at his position in home runs, walks, and runs batted in.
There's a drive into right center field for a base hit, and we've tied the ball game. Kessinger comes in to score, and Ron Santo has delivered a big blow here in the 8th inning.
And in the field, he was the class of the National League, earning at one point 5 consecutive Gold Gloves.
Nice pickup by Ron Santo. The throw, he got him. What a play by Ron Santo, the Cubs third baseman.
But more than anything he accomplished in baseball, what Ron Santo will always be remembered for in Chicago is the way he lived his life.
For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out of the old ball game.
The way he fought past all the many obstacles that were placed in his way.
I had a disease, the side effects. In 99, I lost my first leg. 2001, lost my second leg. It was tough, but if you think positive, it helps. It's almost like medicine.
He was just passionate about everything.
Let me hear ya!
It's how he was built. Growing up, he had to fight for a lot of stuff. And I think that's where he got his emotion and passion, was just to keep fighting.
Ron Santo's story begins in the Italian-American neighborhood of Garlic Gulch in Seattle, Washington. It's where he grew up and where he began encountering the adversity that would shadow his entire life.
His father had a bit of a drinking problem. He was also physical and violent, and he got on, his mom a few times, and my dad would jump on his back, and, that's where he learned this toughness.
Eventually, Ron's father walked out on his family, leaving Ron, his mother, and his sister alone.
And then when his mom remarried, his stepfather, John Constantino, was his real father. I mean, he called him Dad. He was a great force in his life, positive force. Never put him down. And I think that was the key. Like, I think his dad put him down, walking out that door, and he said, no more of that. So I'm going to fight. And anytime anyone puts me down, I'm going to fight.
It was a mindset that young Ron took with him everywhere he went, not least of all the sports field.
He started on the basketball team. He was the quarterback. Varsity quarterback, and a 4-year starter on the baseball team. He actually had offers to go to play football in some of the Southern California colleges.
I felt I wanted to go into pro ball, not go to college, and I took baseball. I had 16 major league teams after me, and My stepfather and myself, we dealt with them, and I had offers at $50,000 and $60,000.
The Reds gave him the highest offer, like at $80,000, and back then that was huge. And then the Cubs were like the last ones to show up. And the scout said, Ron, this is all we can offer. I think it was 20 grand.
I always watched Game of the Week. There was something about Wrigley Field, something about Ernie Banks.
He was a big fan of Ernie and would see Ernie on those Game of the Week. So I could definitely see him going with his heart.
My stepfather said, do you want to take the highest offer and be set for life? Because in 1959, that was big money. But I signed for the lowest offer to be a Cub.
It wasn't the money. He wasn't not in it for the money, which is interesting because these days the money is so much. But he just felt that this would be the team for him where he would be the best.
Today, you wouldn't make that choice, right? Just because you'd go with the highest offer. But it was all about how he felt, about which way he was going. He was happy he was a Cub. I'll tell you that right now. He doesn't regret that decision one bit.
Look at this! Slats in his front end. Let's go! Attaboy! On the ground is short, backhanded, sliding stop by Swanson. And it got him. There's the Gold Glover at shortstop.
Oh, look! Oh, wow, look at that! Derek, what's the guarantee? Derek?
Mike, time to make history. Players at Circa Million make 5 picks against the spread each week with quarterly and full season payouts.
Circa Survivor entries choose one team each week with no point spread. The last one standing wins it all.
We have $21 million on the line. Are you in? Visit circasports.com for details.
Hydration plus more. Mass Plus by Missy.
Hi, where are you?
Hey, I can't make it. I have a board meeting.
Hey, BMW, text Chris. Busy with a performance review.
I'm not gonna make it in today. Yeah, I'm actually working with a new trainee. Oh, sit!
This summer, make your own plans in the ultimate driving machine. Find yours at the BMW Summer Sales Event on now. Lease the BMW X3 for $599 per month and receive a loyalty credit up to $1,000.
Hydration plus more. Mass Plus by Missy.
At the age of 18, I was feeling good. And I had my physical. My mother used to have us take a physical every year. And the doctor came out, and I could see in his face something was wrong.
You know, he was told that he had high levels of sugar in his urine and that possibly he could be a diabetic. And he had no idea what a diabetic was.
The next thing I said to him, when he said that, I said, can I play baseball? Ron, I don't know. I never spent any time in high school in the library, but I decided to go to the library to look up diabetes. And the first thing I read was life expectancy of a diabetic is about 25 years. And so I felt very strongly that I wanted to play. I had signed a professional contract.
He thought, by the stuff they read, that he could actually outrun the disease. Because it said exercise is also an added insulin. And so he thought he could keep his sugars low by always working out.
He just worked out to see what was going to happen with the sugars. And then he had to learn his symptoms. But sometimes they go so low or so high, you missed it, and then you're in trouble.
He would take the insulin, give himself a shot, work himself out. How far can he go before he's low now that he has to have a candy bar or sugar to get him back up?
I think his determination, the way he grew up, work ethic was super important to him. And he had to work extra hard knowing he had this disease. And he hid it from the team because, you know, he wanted to prove himself first as a player.
And I worried about if they find out I'm a diabetic and I'm taking insulin, are they going to give me that opportunity? So I never said a word.
As Ron navigated the complications of his disease, he was assigned to the Cubs' Double-A affiliate in 1959. He quickly emerged as a standout, and the organization rewarded him with a unique opportunity.
They invited the 30 top prospects for a 3-week rookie league camp that Roger Hornsby was the hitting instructor. And I went down there and I met Billy and all the rookies.
They told Roger Hornsby, say, Roger, we want you to go to every organization and see what we have in the organization. I guess the last stop was San Antonio, Texas.
And so they had an inter-squad game, and Hornsby sat back there and just watched the whole game. And then at the end of the game, he sat everyone down.
And he started going down, talking to players. He said, you could go back home and get a job because you're not going to be a baseball player.
And I'm thinking, oh, don't tell me to go home, please. You know, I'm thinking that.
And he pointed to my dad and Billy and said, you two are ready for the big leagues.
The two guys that ended up in the big leagues were Billy and myself.
With Hornsby's endorsement, the 20-year-old Santo was called up to the big leagues during the 1960 season. Almost immediately, he established himself as one of the league's best young players, all the while keeping his battle with diabetes secret from everyone.
We didn't know as players. We didn't know as players. And when we would be on the bench, Ronnie had to have his candy bars.
Every once in a while, I'd see him go to the bench to get candy, but I didn't think anything about it.
Pre-game practice. And who's that eating a Snickers candy bar? Ron Santo, that's who.
He never felt like, okay, I'm going to tell the team now. I'm going to tell the Cubs. I'm going to let everyone know. No. I know he told a couple other roommates.
Oh, this great story.
How I found out, he never mentioned anybody he was, but I was hitting like 206 on a first road trip to San Francisco. And one morning, I look in the bathroom and I see Ron giving himself an injection. I said, hey,
Roomie, look it. And this is how he talked.
I said, hey, Rooms, come out here right now. I want to talk to you.
I don't like needles.
But you're hitting 336. I'm hitting 206.
Whatever you're taking, I want. And I just kind of was stunned.
He laughed, and then he sat down and told me what diabetes is, and he said, just keep it quiet.
So Santo was managing his diabetes and, for the most part, keeping it secret. But there were still occasional complications, sometimes coming at the worst moments.
I forget what year it was. We were coming into the 9th inning. Billy was up, and there was 2 outs. And I'm on deck. I'm kneeling down. I'm looking at the scoreboard, and I see 3 scoreboards. And the eyes are telling me I've got a problem, because that's one of the last type of symptoms that would tell me that my sugar's low.
He wanted me to make an out. Yeah, I'm up there fouling pitches off, and he was just saying, you know, he having this attack, and he was hoping I strike out where he wouldn't have to hit.
He walks. I walk up the plate. I had it on my mind. I'm going to swing at all 3. I don't care, but I'm swinging the first one. I don't care where it is.
And he said, I'm gonna just hit at the middle ball.
Took the middle one.
That's a well-hit ball. Deep to center. Back. A grand slammer for Santo. The Cubs win the ball game.
The challenges could certainly be unique. But through it all, Santo, in the batter's box and the field, was breaking out into a bona fide star. And no longer concerned with his place on the roster, he soon decided it was time to reveal the secret he'd worked so hard to keep hidden.
One meeting, team meeting, he said, I've had juvenile diabetes for X amount of years. I'm playing with it. Don't let it affect what I'm doing affect your performance? Because I'm out there to play and to win.
We didn't know as players until he established himself. And when people knew that he was a diabetic, he had made it all over the world that he was a diabetic playing the game of baseball.
I've been a diabetic for 13 years, and it came out last year, and try to help people understand diabetes. And I think that a great example is myself being diabetic for 13 years and playing in the major leagues. And you just got to be able to understand. That's the main thing.
Let me tell you, he was a real spokesman for it. He had a helping hand in a lot of people's lives, and kids looked up to him, knowing that he was a diabetic. He was that way.
In the air and gone.
You can't say I was there if you weren't. Be here for it. Wherever life takes you, keep it original. Ben's Original.
Thanks for meeting me here.
You okay?
You're my only lawyer friend, and I need your professional opinion.
Okay.
You see that brand new Hyundai Tucson out there?
Yeah.
That's all I paid for it. You know what you want?
Yeah. I think I do.
Enjoy your new car.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Deal so right, it almost feels wrong. The Hyundai Getaway Sales Event.
Lease the Hyundai Tucson for $239 a month or get $1,750 bonus cash. Hurry in today.
We love horses, and this is the one thing bonding us. And we started racing the horses. This was before the incident happened with Fergie, though.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a good time to tell that story if you don't mind.
There was about a week left in spring training 1968 when Cubs manager Leo DeRocher gave his veterans a day off, away from the ball field.
Ronnie and Billy got a hold of this riding academy in Scottsdale. At the time, Lou Johnson was on the team, Nye, Billy, myself, and Ronnie. We all ran out to this riding academy.
So after we get on these horses and we take off.
This mare I got, she was a little on the heavy side. I thought, well, just take her.
All of a sudden, Ronnie horse turned around, and all the horses thought they were going back to feed. Fergie horse turned around and he took off.
And I wasn't going to pull her up on the asphalt walkway because I didn't want to upset her.
He really took off. I mean, he was flying. Fergie's legs going like this. And people say, I didn't know Fergie could ride like that. I say, he can't.
So she ended up turning, pushed me into a part of a fence, knocked me off.
And he hit his leg, man, blood flying everywhere.
The guys rushed back, put me in a pickup truck, took me to the local hospital.
Ronnie was a captain at the time, and he had to call Leo. Leo, we just had an accident.
Don't you tell me.
Fergie was riding a horse, and he hurt himself. And Ronnie had to take the phone and like this, and put it out like this. He'd get all excited. What happened? What happened? You gotta be some dumb SOBs.
So through plenty of laughs, the Cubs of the 1960s with Ron Santo as team captain were a close bunch.
The baseball team had played together for many years, and everybody knew each other.
We were really close. I had a birthday party, and Ronnie came. I went to his house.
I think the 69 team was that close because they played a lot of years together. I can look back at that year now and go, wow, man, they were really ready to win.
It's all over! Willie Smith got forward! The Cubs win the game!
We start off opening day with a great crowd, and when Willie Smith hit that home run, I think that's what really got us started, and I just figured the Cubs were going to have a great year.
That was the year. We were 11-1 to start off the season, and we were in first place.
So I'm a 6-year-old kid, but I remember it all. That was the time that Wrigley started to sell out and became something more. It was so vibrant, the bleacher bums.
The relationship with the bleacher bums were personal. Not just myself, I'm talking about everybody.
You know, my dad would park at the gas station across the street from Wrigley, and we'd walk to the park, but there was always fans following us. Even on the ride homes, he had this back way to get home, you know, down Irving Park, all the back roads, and fans would know his route.
Virtually every day, it felt like there was another win to revel in. And one afternoon at Wrigley, a signature celebration was born.
We were 2 runs down with 2 guys on base, 2 outs, and Hickman hits a home run. I jumped on him. He had a headache. I was pounding him so much at home plate. I was so excited. We stayed in first place. And for some reason, I went up and clicked my heels.
He said he remembered getting home and watching WGN News and seeing them put that highlight up. And he couldn't believe how high he got.
So I get in the clubhouse the next day. Leo comes in and says, "Do you think you could click your heels again? Why don't you make that the victory kick at home only?" Then the fans got into it. When we won, and I'd go down and click my heels once, they would yell twice and 3 times.
Fans loved it, but I said, oh, crap. If I'm on another ball club, I'm telling you, I want to beat your fanny.
A lot of pitchers in my day did not like it, and I got knocked on my fanny a few times.
Jerry Kuzman, you know, hit my dad on purpose that season, which was wrong. But he admitted I went at him. That wasn't out of anything of more just excitement. I mean, 9 seasons of not winning to like, now we're here. That was my dad. He was going to express himself, and he did, and the fans loved it.
The trade-off was clear. Opposing players resented him, but Cubs fans loved him, which is why what happened in July of 1969 would be so surprising. It all started on an afternoon at Shea Stadium in New York, the first-place Cubs playing the upstart Mets, and a 23-year-old rookie named Don Young in center for Chicago.
The Mets were losing 3-1 in the 9th, and the Cubs' top pitcher, Ferguson Jenkins, had them handcuffed when Ken Boswell came to the plate. That's in the air to center, and Don Young.
Fergie liked the position players a lot of times, and he was telling Young to come in on Boswell, and he didn't move.
He said he didn't pick the ball up because he didn't take his glasses.
Well, then, Clendenin's coming up.
That's well hit. He's the left side. That's way back there. It is caught and dropped by Young.
Don Young goes back to the track, catches the ball, hits the wall, and drops it. All the runs score. I lose the ball game.
The Mets win the ball game. It's absolute bedlam here at Shea Stadium.
But it's what happened in the clubhouse after that where things went wrong. The reporters come in, and the first thing they do, they go up to DeRocher's room. He said, my 2-year-old could have caught those balls. What happened when the reporters came up to my dad, he basically said the kid was frustrated, but you got to shake it off when you go in the field. You got to play your position.
The press took it the wrong way. It wasn't really Ronnie, it was Leo.
But back then, the papers dominated the media. So if there's a headline saying, they're going to believe that's true.
Fans got angry at Ronnie because he was getting on a fellow teammate, and that wasn't the case.
But from that came a death threat that was very serious, that put security on our family for months.
I remember the FBI guys out in their cars 24/7.
As serious as the situation was, the Cubs were still the Cubs, and Santo's teammates reacted to the situation the only way they knew how, by pulling one over on their captain.
So Billy says, let's have a little fun on Santo. Beckett and I had this, we had this plan. So we took one of the baseballs that was sent in for an autograph, we cut it off, and take the ball out, and we get the timer for the whirlpool.
So he put it in a box, wrapped it, and put it in Ronnie's locker with his fan mail. So everybody arrives, Ronnie comes in.
Ronnie started opening his mail, and then Billy says, Beck, do you hear something ticking?
He says, yeah, I hear it.
Yeah, I can hear it ticking, ticking. Ronnie's searching his lock. He finds this box.
And all of a sudden, Ronnie hollered out, "It's a bomb!"
He runs to the clubhouse and throws it
over the fence out on the street.
It was a funny thing to see.
And Al Schuterman comes out, and he's part of the skit, says,
okay, who was the wise guy that took the timer off the... I says, I think Santo threw it out on the street.
The world's largest sports book in Las Vegas is now right at your fingertips here in Illinois. Hi, I'm Derek Stevens. I'm a lifelong sports bettor, and I'm the owner of Circus Sports. We're excited about launching our Circus Sports app in Illinois. It's sports betting the way it should be, with high betting limits, tight money line splits, exceptional customer service, and more. Download your new bookie today at circusports.com. Start betting like a pro from anywhere in Illinois.
Oh, still too little, buddy.
A horse walks into a barn, and...
And what?
Wrigley Field, Chicago. This is the breeding ground for Cubs fever. The only cure is a pennant. And when you ask the fans what they expect the Cubs to do in the second half, the replies have a similar ring.
Oh, the Cubs are going to go all the way.
Well, I think the Cubs will go all the way.
They're going to go all the way with the World Series, I'm sure of that.
As the summer of 1969 went on, the Cubs sat in first place, their lead stretching to 9 games on August 16th. By all appearances, they were the team to beat in the National League East.
We felt that we were the best ball club and we were going to win it, and yet the Mets and other ball clubs came at us very aggressive.
And as the Mets surged in late August and early September, the Cubs gradually began to shrink away.
There is a drive into short left. It is a base hit. The Mets win the ball game 4-3.
Ron Swoboda, firing behind the runner, traps Ron Santo at second. Santo doesn't like the call.
The Cubs' lead was just 1.5 games by the time the club squared off on September 8th and 9th. The Mets won the opener, and then the next night would forever go down in Cubs infamy.
The inning starts. Billy's the hitter. Ronnie's in the on-deck circle. Out of the clear blue, here's this black cat. After it walks in front of Ronnie, it walks right in front of our dugout, and it just walks, disappears.
It was the way it happened. Nobody put the cat out there. And that's when I said to myself, that's not good.
The Cubs would lose their game and never recover their sense of luck. After leading the NL East for the first 143 games of the season, they'd ultimately finish 8 games behind the Mets.
The disappointment has never really faded. I mean, I'm not a Met fan, let me put it that way.
The Cubs would remain a winning team over the next few years, but unable to replicate the magic of '69. And by 1974, Ron Santo's time on the North Side was over after 14 seasons. He'd play a year across town for the White Sox and then retire.
He was only 34, but, 34, being a diabetic, pounded hard, played in many games. His years were on the decline.
Retirement meant more time for his family, even as leaving the game behind wasn't easy.
He wanted to be like other dads. It was about, being there for us, but looking back at it, it would always come back to baseball. In any sort of social setting that we had, he loved to still tell stories. He was about telling the stories of those days.
By the end of the 1980s, Santo was thriving away from the game, but it turned out the game wasn't done with him.
I've been on baseball for 17 years. I've done well in business, and WGN called me and said, we'd like to come down to audition for color on the radio side.
He loved baseball, so I said, go for it, try.
I came down for an interview. Tom Brennan was the new play-by-play guy, 26 years old. Bob Brenly just retired, so the three of us go to Florida to do this senior league. I was so bad. I was trying to be a broadcaster, and I couldn't. I'm not a broadcaster. I'm me.
Santo might have felt like he was out of place, but WGN saw potential in a popular former Cub with a big personality. And so the trio of Brenneman, Brentley, and Santo became the Cubs radio booth for the 1990 season.
Opening day, it was windy. I got my scorecard. I got, a cup of coffee sitting here.
A gust of wind came and blew his cup of coffee onto all his papers, and he swore.
And that coffee spilled on him. He jumped up. Damn it! Yeah. Man, he just let it out, and he started from right then.
Brenneman looked at me like, and I said, that's the end of my career.
In fact, it was just the beginning, as Ron Santo, the broadcaster, would break all the rules all over again.
Did he have a style?
He had no style. It just came out.
He had no style. His shtick was just being him and being real.
What's your favorite cake? I mean, if you were to have a birthday cake,
right?
What would you ask for?
In 1996, he got a new partner, me. And while on the surface to some we might not have seemed like the most natural pairing, somehow it all worked perfectly from the start.
Well, here's some education.
Yes, what do you got?
It's the difference between alligator and a crocodile.
Yes.
Broad snot.
I beg your pardon. Would that be a snout?
We tried to laugh every day, and we covered a lot of good teams. We covered some bad teams, but the show became known as the Pat and Ron Show. You never knew what to expect.
Is there a Pat and Ron moment that really stands out to you or that you remember?
Well, it's not my favorite, but it's when his hair went on fire in New York. I mean, it's so funny. And the booth apparently was very small, and it was cold. And so they had the electric heaters on that were above them.
That son of a gun, I'm standing there watching them sing the national anthem, and all of a sudden my head starts to burn.
I look over, Ron Santo's hairpiece is on fire.
I jumped back. I said, holy cow. I said, I think I cinched my head.
His first thought was, how does it look?
He looks at Pat, and Pat goes, it doesn't look too bad. It just looks like a divot off the golf course.
And then I let him use my comb, and of course he had to criticize the comb.
Look at his comb.
Here's another thing Santo would do. He would reach out for what he thought was his cough button.
Nice crowd here in this beautiful spring training facilities. The Cubs in their traveling uniforms wearing the dark blue shirts. How's that cough button working, Ron? We test these.
I hit the wrong button.
The thing about Ronnie that I loved so much was when the team lost, he wore it on his sleeve. As much as anybody I've ever seen calling games for a team, he wore that loss with you.
The throw! It's dropped by Santo.
Oh, God! Oh, God!
And then when you did well, it was big boy, what an outing.
It feels like it's a World Series game.
Yeah, it does.
Here's the windup and the pitch. And a missed strike three. 20 strikeouts for Terry Wood.
Unbelievable.
He loved the Cubs. I mean, you could hear it in his voice when they were winning.
Johnson, it's a ground ball, right side, base hit, right field. Come on, DeRosa heading home. The throw by Burris to the plate. The slide. He scores. Cubs win. Cubs win. Cubs win 8-7.
Ronnie didn't care. The Cubs are my team. I'm going to favor that team, and I'm going to do everything I can to be positive about that team, but I'm also going to hurt when things go bad. And it was genuine and real.
I loved the Cubs. I wanted to win. I wanted to. So I didn't try to be, but that's what I am. I'm a fan. This homers, I care.
I'm not sure his passion was ever more purely on display than late in the memorable 1998 season.
7-5 Cubs, bottom of the ninth.
In 1998, we were battling for a playoff spot. It was the last week of the season. Cubs and Mets and then Giants were battling for that one wild card position.
2 down. The Brewers have the bases loaded and a 2-2 count on the hitter. Here's the pitch. Swung on, fly ball left field. Brant Brown going back. Brant Brown drops the ball. No! He drops the ball. 3 runs will score, and the Brewers have beaten the Cubs.
When he bellowed out, "Oh no!" that came right from his heart. And I finished the post-game show, and then I go into the clubhouse, and Ronnie is still saying, "How could he drop the ball in that situation?" And he's almost in tears. And then I saw manager Jim Riggleman walk over to Ron Santo, put his arm around him and say, "Ronnie, hang in there. We're going to be all right." And I looked away because I almost laughed out loud right at that scene. I'm thinking, I just saw a manager try to cheer up a broadcaster. I don't think that's ever happened in the history of American sports.
Lanzamiento. Le pone el bate, la manda volando hacia el derecho. ¡Se fue! PCA. Le pone el bate, la manda lejos hacia atrás. ¡La botó! ¡Óigame! ¡Monstruoso! ¡Lejos! ¡El cuadrangular! ¡Olvídese de ella! ¡El hombre! ¡El casco! ¡Celebra a los Chicago Cubs la victoria!
At Dots, an ordinary pretzel just isn't enough, so they add savory seasoning and tempting buttery flavor into every delicious twist. Now that's enough to make you build an all-pretzel pantry with a biometric security system. Dots, sensationally seasoned pretzels.
At Domino's, you can pick 2 medium 2-topping pizzas for only $6.99 each and feed your whole crew. Or you could spend $6.99 on a burger, which isn't enough to go around. 2 medium 2-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each for the win. No matter how you slice it, nothing compares to Domino's.
When every seat feels like the best seat, there's no need to rush. A car that doesn't make you feel like a priority is a car that stops short of amazing. At the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event, get offers on select models.
Get special offers on select Lexus TX models.
Bringing home a new best friend? With Dutch, access expert vet care 24/7, including same-day virtual appointments and guidance on nutrition and behavior. With convenient, trusted care just a tap away and prescriptions delivered right to your door, Dutch is here for all your new parent questions and those everyday uh-oh moments. Because at Dutch, we're more than a service. We're by your side every step of the way. Dutch, expert care whenever and wherever you need it.
Daily life can feel like a tug of war, but Dutch Online Vet Care is here to make the lives of you and your pets a little easier. Talk to a licensed vet from the comfort of your home instead of piling your furry friends in the car for their appointments. With Dutch, there's no wrestling with pet carriers, just friendly, expert advice that gets to the root of the cause of your pet's condition. Sign up today. Same-day appointments are available.
Units?
How many units?
6 units listed.
6.
Yes, you had 153.
Good.
You know, there was a decade there of the 2000s of when the diabetes really caught up with him, starting with the one leg amputation followed by the other. And then shortly thereafter, in 2003, was bladder cancer that came out of nowhere.
I get along today.
Good, very good. How about you?
Oh, fine.
Good.
And all through that time, you know, he rarely complained.
Never complained at all. He didn't want nobody to feel sorry for him.
Now, this is what I look like when I wake up in the morning, and I know when you're looking at this, this looks bad, but it's a frame of mind that a person has to have. When there's adversity that hits, you do what you have to do. There's only one way that you have to go. And I have to say this, I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for the Cubs. It wasn't for me going in that booth every day, no matter what my problems were, I feel like $1 million.
After he lost his first leg, I was thinking, how is he going to travel? And he did it like nothing.
You should have seen him climb up the steps to the charter airplane for the Cubs. Going up the stairs, unassisted, unattended. You realize what a big, strong, tough guy this was.
He'd come down the stairs at the old locker room, and I'd always be like, Ronnie, you want a hand? Never. I got it. He always had it. He was mythical in that way.
Let go of that. I'm supposed to do this myself. This is what this is all about.
It had to be certainly humbling, but he handled it about as well as you possibly could. He didn't let it bring him down, and he still had the same enthusiasm for life. He still had the same love for the Chicago Cubs, and nothing was ever going to change that about him.
I would joke around, like, we got into Pittsburgh at the Westin Hotel kind of late at night, about 3 o'clock in the morning. And when we stay in hotels, we'd always have to stay on the bottom level. In case of a fire, he had to be the first floor that you could get onto a staircase. So we get on the elevator. He pushed 4. I just, from the back of the elevator, go, 4? Who's on 4? And he goes, turns around, I'm on 4. I go, take the stairs, And he turns around and he just snaps at me and he's like, I have 2 prosthetic legs. You don't give me that crap. And I didn't hesitate. I said, oh, so now we're going to play that card. Right now, that's when you're going to pull that out. And he just stopped. The next night coming in the hotel, he's in the hotel at the Westin and he's standing up kind of on the bar and he's waving me over, right? And I'm like, oh boy, I'm in trouble, And I go over there, big boy, come here. And he gives me this big hug and he goes, last night, I felt like I was on the team for the first time in a long time. He goes, thank you so much. I just love the guy so much. So, to have him feel that way, man, that's what it was all about.
As the years went on, there was really only one thing that kept Ron Santo down: his continued exclusion from the Baseball Hall of Fame, despite his resume as one of the best third basemen of his era.
If I had to vote, he would be in the Hall of Fame right after he retired from the game, because I saw what he did at third base. I saw what he did as a hitter.
Eddie Matthews was in that top tier as a third baseman, and Mike Schmidt, and then came Ronnie. Those 3 guys were the top, and I knew right away Ronnie should have been in the Hall of Fame.
When Santo retired in 1974, his 342 career home runs as a third baseman ranked second all-time at the position. Nonetheless, he was denied by the Baseball Writers of America all 15 times he appeared on the Hall of Fame ballot.
Ronnie would have a party at his house, but he'd have friends over and his family saying that, hey, the ballot's going to be announced, and then boom, the ballot would come out, missed. Ballot would come out, missed.
Most of Ron's contemporaries, Willie McCovey, Willie Mays, they would come into the booth. Hey, Ron, you should be in, man. You should be in the Hall of Fame. Well, I know, it hasn't happened yet. I'm still waiting. I'm still hoping. In 2003, a decade after his last rejection by the writers, came a new hope when he was considered by the Veterans Committee for the first time.
It was disappointing for him to not get in through the writers. But here came an opportunity to, well, okay, these guys saw me play.
It was all the Hall of Famers voting at that time. And it was 75% from all the Hall of Famers. Still a difficult thing.
Sure, I didn't make it with the writers. But with my peers, these are Hall of Famers I played against. And they knew the type of player I was. And so I got to go with them. Hopefully it'll happen. But believe me, if it doesn't happen, I'm just not going to talk about it anymore. It's just. But I'm there for life. Although you kind of wonder how long my life is going, but I'm hoping.
There were TV trucks everywhere in the cul-de-sac, a room full of people. We just thought, like, oh, this is happening. Somebody knows something, because why are all these TV cameras here? So that, to me, was a good sign.
Sharon Panazzo was running the PR stuff there, dealing with the Hall of Fame, and they were going to call her. So that was the thing, like, if she calls, it's not good.
That's probably a Hello?
Sorry, honey.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Nobody got in.
Nobody got in?
Nobody got in.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Very sorry.
Okay.
And to see his face at that moment try to cover almost the shock, and then trying from there to keep, again, a brave, strong face.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you be willing to do a conference call later?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's something I was looking forward to, but guess gonna have to wait. That's it.
There was just no hiding the disappointment that day for all of us. But later that year, another honor cushioned the blow when the Cubs made him just the third player in franchise history to have his number retired.
On behalf of the Chicago Cubs organization, we'd like to congratulate Ron on this very special day. Our beautiful Wrigley Field adds another member to its class of baseball royalty.
It was actually a cloudy, kind of rainy day, and the clouds opened and the sun shined on him. And the crowd roared because we all experienced this sight that was super divine.
You talk about divine intervention, Ronnie.
I think that was one of the happiest days in his life. I really do believe that.
This is too much, to be honest with you, and you know, this might be the first time I've ever been lost for words. Here's a player that's not in the Hall of Fame, and there's no flags other than Billy Williams and Ernie Banks. I was overjoyed, and that was a big day in my life. This flag hanging there down the left field line means more to me than the Hall of Fame. That is my Hall of Fame. I thank all of you. I love you.
Derek, what's the guarantee? Derek?
Mike, time to make history. Players in Circa Million make 5 picks against the spread each week with quarterly and full season payouts.
Circa Survivor entries choose one team each week with no point spread. The last one standing wins it all.
We have $21 million on the line. Are you in? Visit circasports.com for details.
Real strength isn't pushing through pain. It's treating it. When there's no pain, there's more gain. Advil targets pain caused by inflammation for fast, strong relief. Advil, that's real strength.
It's the final game, folks. This one wins the series.
Struck out with the cheap seats? Important things aren't worth compromising. At Farmers, we offer both quality insurance and great savings. Here, take mine.
We are Farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
When I got out of baseball in '74, I got a phone call from Juvenile Diabetes Foundation. And they said, we'd like you to come aboard. And I said, I'd love to. While you're getting an oil change, just make a donation. All proceeds go directly to the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation.
He wanted to help other people. And his journey with the diabetes, now he had a platform.
Through his years of work, Santo's partner was the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, the national organization dedicated to finding a cure for the disease. For Santo, of course, the work was extremely personal.
He gave a lot to his walkathons. He raised over $60 million over the course of that time. He was so into it. That fulfilled him.
I would be in the booth many times. We would be maybe in a rain delay, and he would pick up a stack of fan mail. And he would look at a letter, and there would be a phone number on there. And he would call the person. Hello, is Mary there? This is Ron Santo. And then there'd be a pause, and he'd say, no, it really is Ron Santo. And thank you for writing to me, and I want to talk to you about your issue with diabetes. This was not just a 20, 30-second phone call. This was 5, 10 minutes And they knew that Ronnie really cared about them. It was such a natural piece of sincerity. This was something I witnessed many, many times.
When I was 12 years old, my mother said, always treat people the way you want to be treated. To me, I never looked at myself as a celebrity. I looked at myself as a human being that cared for everybody else.
I feel that that was fulfilling to him, to comfort those that in a time maybe when he was young, he didn't have those answers because they didn't know much about the disease and there weren't resources. He wanted to let them know that, like, hey, look, I played as a professional athlete with this disease. You too, don't let this stop you. In the meantime, we're gonna find a way to get a cure.
What he did for the type 1 diabetes community was, I don't think it can be overstated. I'm one of thousands and thousands of aspiring type 1 diabetic athletes who looked up to Ron, and he served as such an inspiration and blazed the trail.
Santo spent nearly his entire life shadowed by the specter of serious illness. But that didn't make it any easier when another disease he knew all too well hit his family in a way they never expected.
In 2010, we were thrown a different curveball. I found a lump on my left breast. I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. Initially, it was like, I don't want to burden him with this. He had been through so much already, but at the same time, I needed him. And he was my rock for that. Saying to me, stay positive. You're a fighter. You're a Santo. You're going to get through this. Just take charge, and we will get through it. He was there for me during a time where I felt so weak, and I was able to get his strength. Unfortunately, a month after my last treatment, my dad went to the doctor and found out that his bladder cancer had returned. The diagnosis was tough. It had spread. But in spite of that, he said, I can do this.
I had seen him come back so many times before, I thought, you know what? Knowing Ron, he'll probably come back from this one too. He seemed indestructible and invincible to me. Somehow he'll make it.
He did fight, and we were all together with him. He was as strong as he could be to the end. It's all right.
On December 3rd, 2010, we lost Ron Santo. He was 70 years old. A week later, thousands gathered at Holy Name Cathedral in Chicago to say goodbye.
Thank you for being here today. Ronnie would be pleased at this turnout, and he would be also very pleased about all the beautiful things that have been written and said about him in the past week. But I knew Ronnie very well, and he would not want you to be sad for long. He wouldn't want you to sit around and mope and feel sorry about him. He would want you to tell stories about things that he did and made you laugh. He would poke fun at me, at my clothing. He loved my sweaters. I look over at Ron. Ron Santo's hairpiece is on fire. Yogurt is spilling out onto the counter. Ronnie starts shaking the machine. Here was a manager cheering up a broadcaster. This has never happened in the history of American sports.
You walked in with a heavy heart, and you ended up walking out feeling like it was a true celebration. You just felt comforted.
Ronnie was about having fun and laughing, living, and loving.
He would want us to all have a beer for him and sit there and smile and laugh, and that's exactly what we did. Talking about all this, man, I just miss him so much and wish we could have him back. Yeah.
There were lines around the block just to come see and pay respects to him and us. You really got to see his impact on that city and who he was. I was in awe. You know, we did cremate him and have the opportunity to put his ashes at Wrigley. It was his favorite place on earth.
When I walked on that grass, and I looked in the stands, I felt like I was walking on air. I couldn't believe it. There was something there, the electricity, the adrenaline started flowing.
We dumped him at third base, and then we went out to the outfield by the clubhouse door. We dumped some ashes around there, on the warning track a little bit, by the bleachers.
I think he earned that, you know. He just gave his heart and soul to that team, and it just seems right that he'd be there.
So yeah, he's at Wrigley Field. He's at home. If he was looking down out of all the things that happened after he passed away, he knew the statue was coming. That he knew. The Hall of Fame, he didn't know.
Ron Santo elected off the Golden Era ballot into Cooperstown. This is big news on the north side of Chicago.
The numbers are there. Everybody saw the numbers, the home runs, the gold gloves, saying this guy should be in the Hall of Fame.
You know, when you go in posthumously, unfortunately, you're not there. But the fans and your family have an opportunity to feel the happiness that's elated about getting in to the Baseball Hall of Fame.
He believed he'd been chosen to go through these things so that he could deliver a message of perseverance. He embraced his gift and his hardship equally, believing that one would not have mattered without the other. I look at his plaque here in Cooperstown, and I think you will all agree. It just feels right as a perfect ending to his remarkable journey.
Yes, of course, he would love to have had him there. But at the end of the day, they got it right. And that's all that matters.
If nature was being fair about it, nature would have allowed Ron to experience A, being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and also to be around when the Cubs won the World Series in 2016.
Everybody in the park is on their feet, and I think all of our listeners are on their feet no matter where they are as well.
What do you think his reaction would have been if he were around in 2016?
What makes you think he wasn't around in 2016?
The longest drought in the history of American sports is over.
He'd have been he might have jumped out of the broadcasting booth onto the field. He'd have been shouting at the top of his lungs that the Cubs win, Cubs win.
He would have been right in the thick of it, pouring champagne. It would have been something else to see him.
I feel that he and Ernie were a part of that journey. And I think a lot of people believe that they were around for the ride. You could feel that presence.
There's nobody that loved the Cubs as much as Ron Santo. Nobody. Lived, breathed, sleep, died a Chicago Cub fan, and the biggest one there is.
What do you hope people think about and talk about when your name comes up in years to come?
When Ernie hit his 500 home run, Ronnie was the first one there. When I hit a game winner, Ronnie was the first one there. To celebrate the other guys. You know, that's the kind of guy he was.
I think he would personally like to be remembered as also a guy that gave a lot as a human being, because he did.
A lot of his life was not just about the achievements, but who he was as a person. You know, I believe we have a purpose on this earth, and my dad served that purpose.
Ron Santo will be missed. I think we are all going to remember him in a slightly different manner. However you remember him, please do so with a big smile on your face. He would have liked that very much.
for Zinkernagel, has a step. Bamba!
What you'll see from the group is a committed group. A group that when you watch play will both entertain you, but you'll be proud for how they're working for each other and working for the city of Chicago. I consider the Chicago Fire sleeping giant.